I spent over a year of my life in a psychologically and emotionally abusive relationship, and yet I didn't leave it. It eventually ended with her leaving me. She would consistently demean me in private and in public. She would undermine my accomplishments. She would treat me just like an idiot, a child. My anxiety was so high and my self-confidence so low, I actually ended up being unable to do dishes without breaking them. Because I was shaking and just unsure of my motor skills. I was so unconfident. But the thing is, I stayed in that relationship. And this phenomenon is actually pretty common. I experienced a pretty extreme version of it. But to some degree, we will end up dating or going on a date with a woman who treats us like garbage. Why is that? The dating profiles we see on dating apps, women will say things like, I'm funnier than you, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you. And that's it. That's a dating profile I saw. Or another one is, I'll never love you more than I love my dog. Like the dating profile itself, her profile will be tearing you down, insulting you, and yet we still message them. We still message these women. And then when we do message them, they either don't respond at all, or if they do respond, they only give one-word answers, or they make sarcastic jokes at our expense. Or if we try to flirt with them, they treat us like a creep. And yet, we still will try and ask them out on a date. And then when we do end up going on a date with this woman, she spends the whole time talking about her ex, not asking you questions, and just not really enjoying herself, not really being present. Maybe she even invites all her friends along, and it turns into this weird hangout with you and all her friends. It's like she isn't interested in being there at all, and yet we'll still pursue her. We'll still try and get into a relationship with this person. And if you actually do end up dating this girl, you're only going to be dealing with this kind of treatment all the time. We work our asses off to chase these women, to talk to them, to make dates with them, to make those dates enjoyable, to create these relationships with these women who do not care about us at all. Why do we put up with it? We're taught to be respectful toward people, even if they're not respectful toward us, and especially as men toward women. When women are disrespectful to you, we're taught that you need to be respectful to them. On the surface, this sounds good. Being respectful to people, even when they're not respectful back, sounds like a civilized way to behave. And in a sense, this is true. But really, what people have been teaching us is that it's okay for women to treat you any way they wish, and you have no right to object to it, which is a very different thing. We've heard from our parents, from sitcoms to movies, that you're always wrong and that she's always right. And all of this is packaged in very good language. It's a good thing to be supportive of your girlfriend or your wife, to be understanding of what she's going through emotionally or hormonally. These are all good things. But that's very different than she can do anything she wants. She can treat you any way she wants. And that you have no right to contest her on her treatment of you. So, what's the answer? Do we just reverse things? We say, men can treat women any way they want? No, that's just the same thing. It's equally as wrong. A lot of men end up just going along with this. They end up dating or even marrying women who have no respect for them, who treat them horribly. And these men end up very sad, very empty, hollow, and lacking self-esteem because they've been taught that it's right for them to be supportive of, their wife or their girlfriend, no matter what, no matter how they're being treated. And so they're in horrible conflict. Now, there's a lot of us who understandably are feeling very resentful and very angry about the situation that we're in terms of dating and just the way men are treated in the culture today. And they end up, sadly, indulging that resentment and that anger and turning to things like MGTOW and the red pill, which are not at all a solution to this problem. They're merely indulging in that resentment and indulging in that anger and leading you to this sort of false sense of self-esteem, this false sense of confidence. It's not a real answer. It's just really getting you to revel in that bitterness. No, the real answer is self-assertion. Now, to assert yourself doesn't mean to be an ass and walk all over people and put you first at the expense of other people. That's not what that means. Self-assertion means to have the willingness to stand up for yourself, to be who you are openly, and to treat yourself with respect in all encounters. A lot of men today are feeding their bitterness and their resentment and their pain and anger around dating today. And that is not the real answer. That's not a solution. The real solution is self-assertion. Again, self-assertion is not about being pushy. It's not about pushing what you want onto other people. It means standing by what you want out of a relationship and giving yourself the respect you deserve by not allowing people to treat you disrespectfully. It means asserting what you want in a situation, in this case, dating. If you want a relationship with a woman who really does care about you, who really does value the time she spends with you, assert that. Don't waste that time and energy on someone who doesn't value you. Take control of your situation. Assert what you want, and make it clear to yourself and those around you what you want. So what does this actually look like? Well, the next time a girl stands you up on a date, or doesn't actually ask you any questions, or if you're messaging her on a dating app and she's barely saying anything to you at all, what it means to assert yourself in the situation doesn't mean to tell her off and tell her what you think. It means to assert what you want in that situation. Do you want a woman who doesn't respect you in your life? Do you want to continue talking to this person? Do you want to date this person? No. What you want is a woman who is interested in you, who values your time, who values, the relationship you're building together, who's interested in you, who asks you questions. So the thing to do here, to assert yourself, to assert what you want, is to end your pursuit of the woman who doesn't care about you, who isn't interested in you, and to start going after the woman who is interested in you. Put your efforts toward building a relationship with someone that you actually want. Start holding them accountable for their actions by assessing them, by judging them, by looking at them and saying, is this the kind of treatment that I want? And if the answer is no, take action. End the relationship with that person. Stop pursuing them. If you're talking to him on a dating app, stop talking to him. If you're going out on dates, stop going on dates. It's a waste of your time. You'll never find happiness when you're pursuing someone who doesn't respect you. So let's dig a little deeper into self-assertion and what that really looks like in the dating world, when you're on the dating app itself, and when you're on a date, and when you're in a relationship. When you message a girl on a dating app, and if she does respond at all, she's giving you one-word answers, yes, or no, or sometimes, or she'll only answer the question, and that's sort of the end of the conversation with her answer. All the impetus on having a conversation, carrying the conversation, is all on you. This girl is not interested in you. She's not investing in creating a relationship with you. To assert yourself in this situation means to assert what you want in this situation, to take control, and to ask yourself, is this really a person I want to spend time with? She's clearly not interested in me. She's not asking questions. She's barely answering the questions I ask her. Is this really someone I want to be with? And a girl you want to be with, again, is someone who's interested in you. So the answer is stop investing in this person. There's a dating coach called Matthew Hussey who has a phrase that he says a lot, which is really good, especially for this situation, which is invest in those who invest in you. The idea being is you should look for people who are willing to invest in you, just like how you are willing to invest in them. You're investing your time, your energy, your emotional energy into creating a relationship with this person. And if she's not willing to do that with you, that's not the person to build a relationship with. Invest in those who invest in you. And to assert yourself in a situation where a woman isn't doing that means to refer back to what you want in that situation, what you want out of a relationship, which is someone who will invest in you. So the thing to do is to just stop messaging that person. Just let the conversation die. So when you do end up going on a date and she shows up late and doesn't apologize, or she never asks you a single question, or she's making jokes at your expense, or she's getting offended at your attempts to flirt with her and create a romantic atmosphere. Someone who's treating you this way, who's treating you a way that you wouldn't treat her, she's showing you that she's not willing to invest in you and to create this relationship with you. Politely end the date and don't invest in her anymore. She's not serious. When you do end up in a relationship and she is constantly demanding your time at the expense of, things that you actually need to get done, like you're at work or you have friends and family and other things in your life. If you find that you get into arguments and she can never take responsibility for her actions or for her emotions or for what she says to you, if she can never accept fault and she never apologizes, if she is never satisfied with what you do for her or how you treat her, nothing is ever quite good enough. Or she becomes cold and distant and withholds affection until she gets what she wants. Or she holds you responsible for her emotional state. Like, if she's upset or she's sad, then it's your responsibility to cheer her up. And if she expects all of this to be done for her and none of it done for you, this is a relationship where she isn't respecting you. She's not interested in you. She's not investing in you. A relationship is a huge commitment of time and energy. So do not invest all of that into someone who isn't valuing it and isn't willing to invest it into you as well. So to summarize all this, your time and energy is valuable, so assert yourself when it comes to these situations. Take control by giving yourself standards for how people can treat you in these situations. Don't just allow women to treat you any way that they want. Something that I'm seeing a lot these days is a lot of guys are getting into relationships because they think that's all they're gonna get. They're afraid that if they don't take the first thing that comes their way, then they're never gonna find anyone. This is such a destructive mindset to be in. It's a mindset of fear. It's not about chasing what you want. It's about sort of holding on to something simply because you think it's the best that you can get, not because you actually want it. Do not let someone treat you poorly simply because you think you have few options. It's actually far better to be alone than to be with someone who doesn't treat you the way you deserve, who doesn't actually value the relationship. Now, when it comes to standards, we often feel like when we raise our standards, we're limiting our pool of options, but actually, it's just the opposite. If we end up taking just the first thing that comes along, we're actually not in control of our options. We really don't have options. We're just taking the first thing that comes along. We're just taking anything, which really, that's not an option, because an option is something that you're choosing between. Only when you give yourself standards for what you want and what you expect and what you allow into your life, only then will you see clear options before you that you can choose from. Adopting these standards will give you control in the dating world. It won't take away options. So don't let that fear of limiting your options, or a fear that, if I raise my standards or I don't allow women to treat me like garbage, then I'll just end up alone. No, that's the exact opposite effect that it'll have. When you raise your standards, you'll be expecting people to treat you well. You'll be only allowing people who treat you the way you deserve into your life, and that's exactly the kind of people who you're going to be attracting. People who will value their time with you are going to value the fact that you value yourself. You respect yourself, because people won't respect you if you don't respect yourself. So we've talked a lot about red flags and what you shouldn't be looking for in a relationship or in a woman. So what should you actually be looking for? Well, the kind of woman you should be looking for is a woman who's excited to see you, excited to talk to you, excited to ask you questions. She's interested in your thoughts, interested in your feelings. She wants to hear about them. Her dating profile is about her interests and what she wants and what she's looking forward to. And when you're talking to her, she's asking you questions. She's interested to hear about what you do and what you think and how you feel. She's giving full answers to your questions. She even initiates conversations with you. And when you go on a date with her, she is excited to see you, and she's excited to be flirtatious with you, and she flirts back. It should be a fun and exciting and happy moment. It shouldn't be this anxiety-inducing burden that, you just have to sort of trudge through because, I want a relationship. It shouldn't be a painful experience. It should be fun. And when it comes to a relationship, she is respectful of you. She's respectful of your time while still wanting to spend time with you. The relationship doesn't feel like a battle between you and her where one of you has to be right at the expense of the other. It's a camaraderie. It's a journey together. It's a team effort. You both want to understand each other, to build bridges, to hear each other's emotions and thoughts about a situation, not bludgeon each other with insults and hurt each other with words. It's not about one being right at the expense of the other. It's about the two of you building a relationship and a life together, about creating a happier life than you could have on your own. So to sum it all up, self-assertion really is all about giving yourself the respect you deserve by taking the action necessary to ensure that, about taking control of your situation and asserting what you want in that situation. Self-assertion is about giving yourself the control over situations to ensure that your time and energy is being invested into those who actually value it. Well, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this. And if you like the video, please leave a like. If you're interested in things like self-assertion, then you might be very interested in our free downloadable, which you can get in the description below. It's about 5 confidence tips that you can start working on yourself right now to give yourself more confidence in your life. Again, thanks so much for watching. Leave a like if you liked it, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.